Sylvester Stallone is a name that immediately takes us to the world of cinema, to the grand screens of Hollywood. We imagine the muscles of an unbeatable Rocky Balboa and the indomitable spirit of a man who never gives up. But behind the screen, Stallone's life was much more than the story of a fictional hero. His own life journey is marked by exciting triumphs, sacrifices, and unimaginable challenges. And now, at the height of his career, he was about to face the greatest challenge of all, returning to the ring after more than 30 years. The beginning of the journey. The man behind the legend. Stallone was born in the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of New York in 1946, during a time of great economic hardship. Poverty was a constant throughout his childhood, and he grew up amid financial and family challenges. His mother, a former actress, struggled with mental health, while his father, an Italian-American, tried to keep the family together amid difficulties. Over the years, Stallone learned that life was not a straight road, but a series of ups and downs. He never let the hardships defeat him, always standing firm in his fight, with a secret dream of becoming a great actor. At 17, after many internal and external struggles, Stallone had a pivotal moment. He made the difficult decision to drop out of school and move to Hollywood, believing that his only chance at success was acting. With no money and no connections, Stallone had to face the stigma of being just another unknown face in a city full of dreams and hopelessness. To survive, he worked as a janitor, cleaner, and even a pornographic film actor, all while fighting for a chance to be recognized. But it was one experience that changed his life. The inspiration to create Rocky. In a moment of despair, after losing a boxing match in the ring, Stallone wrote the script for a film that would later become a classic. He used his own experience as a basis to create the story of Rocky Balboa, an unknown boxer who fights to achieve greatness by overcoming his own limitations. This would be his chance in life. The success of Rocky and the birth of a legend. In 1976, the world met Rocky. The film became a sensation, a story of overcoming obstacles that touched the hearts of millions. Stallone, who wrote and starred in the film, became a pop culture icon. The story of Rocky Balboa became synonymous with perseverance, courage, and hope, and the lessons it conveyed went far beyond the boxing ring. Everyone could see that, just like the character, Stallone's life had also been marked by falls, but he always got back up. But contrary to what many thought, the success of Rocky was not the end of Stallone's fight. In fact, it was just the beginning. Over the following years, Stallone got involved in a series of action films, becoming one of Hollywood's biggest stars. His roles as John Rambo in Rambo and later as an action hero in The Expendables solidified his position as one of the biggest stars in the film industry. But as his career advanced, a sense of emptiness began to infiltrate his personal life. Stallone faced problems in his marriage, and the pressure of being a big star pushed him further away from his true desires. There was an internal conflict he couldn't resolve. He felt that, somehow, he was losing connection with the person he truly was. And in moments of introspection, Stallone reflected on what truly mattered in life. The fight against time and the return to the ring. Decades passed, and Stallone was now in his 70s. Over time, he realized that his youth was slipping away. His body, once resilient and flexible, was suffering from the toll of time. His joints, back, and knees were no longer the same. The scars of life had accumulated, and he knew he could no longer fight with the same strength as before. But there was something that still burned inside him, the desire to prove that he still had what it took to be great. Even at an advanced age, Stallone wanted to prove that true victory was not just in winning, but in having the courage to keep trying to get back up when everything seemed lost. He made a surprising decision. At 78, Stallone announced that he would return to the ring to compete for the world boxing title. The news was met with a mix of incredulity and skepticism. How could he do that? His body was already worn out, his pace slower, and many questioned whether he still had the skill to face the best. But what no one knew was that behind this decision, there was a greater force, an unwavering belief in himself. The first round. Overcoming pain and expectations. As the big day approached, Stallone found himself surrounded by more than just criticism. The world was divided in its opinions, and doubts about his ability were growing. His opponents, both inside and outside the ring, were not only the fighters but also the ghosts of his own story. He knew that many saw his decision as a marketing stunt or a desperate attempt to maintain relevance. But this didn't discourage him. He had been underestimated before, and that only made him fight with more fervor. The training was relentless. The pain in his joints and the accumulated exhaustion from decades of effort began to take their toll, but Stallone refused to give up. His muscles were slower, heavier, and simply waking up with excruciating pain seemed like a major obstacle. However, in his mind, he remembered the many times in his youth when he had been challenged to prove his worth, whether in a cinematic arena or, more recently, in his personal battlefield. He clung to this as if it were a flame burning in his soul. The world followed his journey with a mix of fascination and disbelief. His training routine became a spectacle in itself, with videos being posted on social media after each new achievement. But what impressed everyone the most was not the physical transformation but Stallone's mental strength. He had overcome an invisible barrier, something few could understand. He was not just preparing for a fight, but for the final battle for his own identity. The years of his career, his triumphs and failures, his story as a man who never gave up, everything was at stake. Each sparring session, each punch. He heard the sound of his labored breathing and the crack of his joints under the weight of age. However, there was something that ignited within him, something that made him get up after each fall, stronger than ever. He wanted to show the world more than himself, that limits are just illusions, that one is never too old to fight for what they believe in. And so, Stallone moved forward, carrying the weight of the past and the pressure of the future on his shoulders, but with an unwavering focus. He was no longer the Hollywood star the world thought it knew. Now, he was simply a man willing to challenge his own limitations to seek a deeper meaning in his journey. And that, to him, was what really mattered. The second round. The battle inside and outside the ring. When the long-awaited day finally arrived, the tension in the arena was palpable. The place was completely packed, and an eager crowd awaited the clash. Every gaze was fixed on Sylvester Stallone, and the opponents, skeptical of his chances, watched him with disdain. The first round was a nightmare. Stallone seemed to have lost his rhythm. His movements were disjointed, and he was being hit with heavy blows. The critics began to whisper among themselves, speculating that maybe he really was too old to compete. But it was precisely at that moment, when the voices of doubt started to echo, that something inside Stallone changed. He looked within himself, and in the mirror of his soul, he didn't just see the character Rocky Balboa. He saw a man forged by life, who had already faced the worst and risen again countless times. Stallone wasn't just fighting an opponent in the ring. He was fighting against every person who had underestimated him, against every obstacle life had thrown at him. The battle was much deeper. Each blow received didn't weaken him. On the contrary, it made him stronger. He wasn't there to prove anything to others, but to reaffirm his own strength, his own journey of overcoming. And so, with renewed strength, he found within himself the courage to continue, to fight not only for a title, but for his story. That moment wasn't just about winning a fight. It was about asserting that true victory lies in persistence in the face of adversity. The final round. Overcoming a legacy. When the final round arrived, Stallone was more determined than ever. With a precise and devastating left hook, he knocked down his opponent, who crashed heavily to the ground, completely stunned. The referee began the count, and silence filled the arena. The seconds dragged on, and the world seemed frozen in that moment of pure tension. The crowd was tense, hearts pounding, and the expectation was that the impossible would become reality. When the opponent couldn't get up, the referee declared Stallone the winner. The impossible had become reality. The comeback wasn't just a physical return, but a victory of spirit, persistence, and courage. The true victory was that of a man who never gave up, who fought against all odds, and in the end, achieved what seemed impossible. Stallone's legacy. More than a champion. Sylvester Stallone didn't just reclaim the world boxing title. He achieved something much deeper and more valuable: the respect of the entire world. His journey goes beyond a simple boxing story. It's a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Stallone showed the world that, regardless of age, hardships, or obstacles, the true champion is not the one who never falls, but the one who has the courage to rise, always. He became an icon of perseverance, resilience, and courage. His story is not just that of a famous man or a movie star. It is the story of all of us, who at some point face our own challenges and fight to overcome what seemed insurmountable. Stallone is not just an idol, but a symbol that even in our hardest moments, there is always enough strength to keep going. If you were moved by Stallone's journey and want more inspiring stories like this, subscribe to our channel to watch other videos about celebrities overcoming great challenges and emerging victorious. Leave a like and a comment so we can spread this message of strength, courage, and perseverance all over the world. May more people be inspired by stories like this, and remember that true victory is never giving up.